Welcome to Absolutely Marvel and DC. My name is Benny, that is Sal, and this is the channel where we just talk about your shows, movies, and just theories. We just have discussions because we like doing podcasts, and podcasts are fun. I'm doing a bit of a different, longer form intro because some people find these movie reviews separate from the rest of our content.
That's true.
Yes, so my name is Benny. I run the Comic Storian channel. We talk about comic books. That is Sally runs Comic Pop. They talk about comic books, and they released a Batman The Long Halloween movie. And Sal, you go first because you disliked it.
I did dislike it. Batman The Long Halloween Part 1 from Warner Brothers Animation.
That's my complaint, by the way, and I'll go into that in a minute.
Yeah. Yet another entry in the new era of DC Animation. I think it's part of their new animated cinematic universe because it's evocative of the same style they've used in the last two movies, which is cool. I dig that. And I especially like that they're doing adaptations of classic works even as character studies within the cinematic universe that they're creating, because they all happened in the comic book continuities that they came from. Like, Superman was still going on while Long Halloween was going on, blah, blah, blah. Long Halloween, of course, was not technically in continuity. It was its own thing until it wasn't, but whatever. The issues I have with this movie, or this part of the movie, the animation wasn't fantastic.
I wasn't a fan of the animation. I did find it a bit weird. There's very, very bold lines outlining every character, which is very obvious on Harvey Dent, in my opinion.
I mean, it's for that's their style, and that's the style they're going for, and I know it's less expensive, and I appreciate a unified style across the board, because they did that for the last time they tried it, and it works for them. For me, it also unfortunately demonstrates a couple limitations. For one, their opening credits were beautiful, and it was because they used original art from the comic book to show you what this movie will not look like at all. kind of shooting yourself in the foot before you get started.
Yeah.
But the other issues I had with respect to the animation were everybody looked kind of fine. Harvey is huge, but why wouldn't he be? And
he's a bodybuilder. Right. The DA.
yeah. He lifts weights and prosecutes crime. But my only
surprised at one point he wasn't like, Batman, bro, we gotta go.
Yeah, dude, let's deadlift this. For the most part, it's fine. It really is fine. It's not boundary breaking. It's not blowing the doors off, but it's doing its job. The only issues I had, number one, CG cars, for whatever reason, they never look right. Number two, Gilda's face. Harvey Dent's wife.
Okay, yeah, she just never looked right.
Weird. She looks like they animated her head and then added her face afterwards.
And her hair. It was all piecemeal together.
Right? It looks really weird, like it's 5 different artifacts that are all moving at different speeds, and I don't know if it's an animation or not, but I will say the biggest glaring issue I have across all 3 of them, and I like the last 2, were the pauses. I don't know if you noticed this, but there are a lot of really weird, awkward pauses in this movie.
I felt it was for tone purpose. I didn't notice it, but I felt it was for the detective tone.
I noticed it in the last 2 movies too. It's like a stage play where they're waiting for someone to say go.
I mean, it might just be to fill the time. This thing was only 86 minutes long, which is actually what my core complaint with it is. Mm-hmm. I got a few complaints I had with the overall. First off, I loved. I can't think of it because I just know him as Dean from Supernatural, but I loved him as the voice of Batman. I thought it was great. Also made him sound younger, so I thought he did a good job with that.
Yep.
Troy Baker does
Joker.
He did way too close to Mark Hamill's Joker.
He's been doing that. I mean, he is the Mark Hamill Joker now. Mark Hamill doesn't want to do it all the time. Troy Baker did it for Arkham Origins. I think he did it in a couple other ones, or at the very least one other animated movie. I think he's just their Joker now.
I just don't like how he's taking Mark Hamill. I wish he'd make his own identity. And I say this more as a fan of Troy Baker's work. I've met the guy, and I'm not a huge fan of him personally, but his work I'm a fan of, his body of. Just every opportunity I've ever met with him, he was always the star of the show and had a very pretentious air about him, but I love his body of work. I love what he does. You know what I mean? And when you're Troy Baker and Nolan North, you're probably allowed to have that pretentious air because you're the 2 people that do every piece of voice acting ever in video games. Yes. So I'll even give it to him. But now we're gonna go down in history, and people don't even know that Troy Baker did the Arkham Origins stuff.
No.
Because they just assume it was Mark Hamill. And now he's in the movies as Joker, and it's like, I saw that, and I was like, I thought Mark Hamill quit.
Right.
Like, I thought he quit doing Joker. And then I looked it up, and I'm like, Troy Baker, God, poor guy. He's just going to be the poor man's version of Mark Hamill at this point.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I like the guy's work. I'd love for him to get credit for being Joker, is what I'm saying. You know? So I thought that was a little of a wasted opportunity that he didn't kind of reinvent it for that.
Yeah, like, what's it called? I think John DiMaggio, the guy who played Bender from Futurama, he played Joker in the Under the Red Hood movie.
Yeah.
And it's very different. It's its own thing, but it still works. And it's like, other people can play Joker, and they can do other things. But, you know, DC's going for a thing, and I get it. There's no one in this cast that I think is miscast, by the way.
No, they all did a great job.
I think everybody did a great job. Also, I want to just give a quick shout out to Naya Rivera, who played Catwoman and unfortunately lost her life, but she is playing Catwoman in both movies, so we'll at least get
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, the movie was dedicated to her. I'm like, really? I looked her up, and it's like, yeah, she passed away like shortly after the movie, but she does a great job. Everybody does a great job. I'm like, these people will be terrific as their characters in this universe going forward. Works for me. So casting, top.
My two biggest complaints, and one of them's huge, one of them's more of a nitpick.
Sure.
I did not like how they had to have some bullshit exposition to explain which holiday it was. And then at the end of the holiday, they displayed it on the screen. And I was like...
Well, and they only do that selectively. Like, in the beginning, they don't do that. And then they randomly decide to start doing it. And I think they're like, oh, right, it did that in the comics. Let's do that, too.
Well, yeah, because we need to know what holiday we're on if we're going to fight holiday.
And there's no good transitions between the holidays. So, like...
No!
it was Halloween, and then it's Thanksgiving, and it was like... But
I didn't even know just a scene... I didn't know it was Thanksgiving until Gordon's like, I like my turkey with all the trimmings.
Me too!
I'm like, wait, we moved?
Is it Thanksgiving?
We moved holidays.
Yeah. No, there was no clear delineation between scenes to show you we were like doing a time jump.
Yeah.
Which is weird. Yeah, I agree.
And I didn't like that, but then they started to be like, Thanksgiving. And I'm like, they would do it at the end. The end of the holiday. So
yeah, and I'm like, I know it's Thanksgiving now.
Yeah, you just had weird exposition about turkeys and trimmings. What are you doing?
Yeah.
You know, like they were doing Christmas and like they talked about New Year's. So I thought we went to New Year's, but it was still Christmas. And I'm like, wait, why didn't you if you had chapter dividers, this would have been so much easier.
Agreed.
Because you're doing a story that takes place over the course of a year. Mm-hmm. So I need to know when the years moved on.
Yes. And the comic does a great job of doing it. So it's like, if you're just going to do an adaptation or just one-to-one, just do it. Yeah. Like, just do that. Don't get creative when it comes to this stuff. Like, one of my big complaints was when it strays from the source material, I get you got to do an adaptation, and that's fine. I mean, Dark Knight is practically an adaptation of Long Halloween anyway. But, like, I had a real issue with the money scene because it's one of the most iconic moments, and obviously it was so beloved by Warner Brothers they used it in that movie.
Yeah.
But the money scene with Batman and Dent. In the comics, they burn the money. Dent says, do you ever feel tempted? But, like, then they burn it because that's what they do. In this, Batman's like, here is who you're going to be.
Yeah, here's a coin. And I felt that was so weird for Batman, of all people, to not have a definitive decision. Let's flip a coin about doing the evil thing or the good thing. What?
Well,
what?
But then you find out that it's a double-headed coin, so it was never that. But I'm like, you did that in the Dark Knight movie.
Yeah.
Like, but it doesn't happen in the comic. Like, why are you doing that? It was a really weird scene for me. I don't mind them shoehorning Catwoman into more of it because I think they're blending Dark Victory with Long Halloween, like in terms of reveals and stuff. But they're also excising characters, like really important characters like Sophie, and I'm like, what's happening? Yeah. Why are you focusing so much on the Roman? Like, I don't know. There's a lot of there's a lot of that.
Well, so my second biggest complaint, this was more of a larger complaint, is the movie's only 86 minutes long.
This movie.
And I won't lie, I actually enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed its pacing for the most part. Mm-hmm. But I was also getting tired, like because I watched it at night, and I'm going through it, and I found myself dozing off at times.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, I'm watching like a mystery movie towards the end of the night. Okay, that's fine, whatever.
Yeah.
But then it ends. It just ends.
It just stops.
And I'm just like, you're stopping right before it gets interesting.
Well,
you're leaving me on like a whodunit mystery because I am wondering if they're going to change the reveal.
Yeah.
And I almost guarantee they will, based on what they did with Hush and everything else.
Yeah.
But I was just kind of like, what a weird decision, because your movie wasn't 2 hours long.
No.
It was 86 minutes, which tells me the other half is probably about 90 minutes as well.
Right.
So you've broken a movie in a clear point where it was supposed to continue. Andy asked me, like, should I watch Long Halloween? And my response was, wait until July 27th. Because I don't know if you're aware of this, it comes out in less than a month.
Yeah.
Like, we're not even giving a proper, they've spent another year working on it.
Right.
The movie is done.
It's done. They just split it and got two $30 checks out of it.
Yeah.
That
it was
sucks.
a weird decision because, like, he's like, well, they did that with Dark Knight. I'm like, yeah, but Dark Knight 1 felt like a movie.
Yeah.
Long Halloween 1 feels like the start of a movie that just doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah. No, it does. You're absolutely right. And I completely agree. I have a real fundamental problem with this movie as far as like it as a construction. Like, I feel like the pacing's really weird. I feel like the decision for what to tell the audience and what to take for granted is weird. Like, they have context for what they're talking about, but they don't give you the context because they're like, well, you know Batman. And I'm like, yeah, but you've never done that. And Long Halloween doesn't do that. Like, yeah. So what, it's not like Long Halloween's like, we're not going to hold your hand. Like, there's a scene in Long Halloween where we see Batman, Gordon, and Dent, and they kind of mirror it in this movie, but it's not quite hammered home what they're doing and why they're doing it. They're like, we got to take down the Roman, but like, I don't feel it. I don't feel that moment.
Now that you say that, I did feel a bit weird about it because it felt like we were just dropping in the middle of it, which is very Long Halloween, but Long Halloween is also with concurrent Batman stories going. Like, you'd be like, oh, this is when Batman jumped off of fighting Croc to go over here. Like,
right. Well, Long Halloween is just the sequel to Year One. Like, it's just its own thing. So you don't. But I'm saying
it links into everything. So
it does link into everything. Yeah. No, it's a weird beast because I dug the Superman movie. I actually really dug the Justice Society movie, and this one is like one of the first true adaptations, and it's. I think I like it better than Hush, but I don't know if I like it as a movie.
I think I'll like it when the other half is out.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe it'll all crystallize for me. But
yeah, because then the movie will conclude. Because right now we're just left with the mysteries. Yeah. So let's talk about that. How do you feel about them potentially changing the killer? I can almost guarantee they're going to change the killer. And I don't want to talk about the comic book one because we don't know what they're going to do. But how do you feel about them changing it up?
I get it, and I understand that they have to, or at least I understand if they decide they have to do it. I hope that they don't, because I think that based on how they told this story, they don't get it, and they don't have a better idea. You know what I mean? Like, I'm really worried they're going to be like, it was Catwoman. Like, I'm really worried that they don't have the writing capability to give you a story that is as good, if not better, than the Long Halloween, the comic book.
Right.
And so I appreciate that they might feel compelled to change it, and as long as it's within the DNA of the story they told, like, if the weirdness and the odd feeling and the changes that they made in this are intrinsically connected to the changes that they had to make so that it is its own thing, even though it's an adaptation, then I'll appreciate it a little more. But I don't know. I feel like this is very much like a lip service adaptation. Like, it's just kind of like, okay, we had to do something. We knew Long Halloween has name recognition, so here you go.
Yeah. It's weird that it didn't come out on Halloween also, by the way.
It's too bad they didn't come out on Halloween.
Coming out Halloween. Yeah. I'm fine if they have to make changes, because even in the comic book, I remember when I read it, it was a whodunit mystery.
Yeah.
The big reveal was a surprise. And like I said, I'm not going to go into that just in case that is in the movie. But it was a surprise. So so since even the comic left a lot of possibilities in, it's kind of okay to say, and it was that one, not this one. You know what I mean? Like, so we'll see.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. There were a lot of suspects. Unfortunately, this movie left out a lot of them. So
you're not wrong. When Batman's towards the end of the movie, he's like, "Here's the 5," which, by the way, he left one silhouetted out, and I'm like, "Well, that's that."
Yeah, well, we know who that is, but okay.
I like how Alfred's like, "Why is one of them silhouetted out?" I don't want to believe it's him. So you black them out? Like, I don't get what this is we're going for here.
Well, you had to like incorporate some kind of software or paint program to silhouette him out. So you definitely looked at him when you did that. I mean, whatever. But it's fine.
But they have like a clear 5 at the ending. I found that to be just okay, interesting.
Yeah. No, it's fine.
It reminded me. Do you remember Who Killed Mr. Burns? That Simpsons.
Yeah, of course.
That's what it kind of reminded me of. Like, we got to the end of the season, and they're like, and Batman will be back next year. Dial in who you thought did it.
Yes. I do. I very strongly remember who.
Do you think it's going to be Maggie? Is Holiday? Maggie Simpson?
That'd be great. That would make just as much sense.
So the last question I'd ask you is, how do you feel that they're doing Long Halloween, and the Matt Reeves Robert Pattinson movie is supposed to also kind of be Long Halloween?
Well, then it'll be the 3rd time that DC made Long Halloween in like a theatrical capacity, because Dark Knight is Long Halloween, this is Long Halloween. If they want to do Long Halloween again, fine. I mean, I'm also down because that movie looks atmospheric and cool.
Right.
And, the casting is nuts. And Matt Reeves is a great director, so I'm all on board. I'm sure I will like that Long Halloween more than this one.
All right, well, that's it. I mean, obviously, we can't give you a full conclusion until the second half comes out, so we'll have another episode in about a month. If you're new to the channel, thank you for checking out our opinions on this movie. Every week, we talk about The Flash over on CW. We talk about Superman and Lois. We talk about Legends of Tomorrow. We also talk about all the Disney Plus shows, all the movies. We're going to be doing a Black Widow discussion very soon. So, if you want to just hear me and Sal and a bunch of our buddies talk about some of your favorite movies and TV shows, check out Absolutely Marvel and DC. And if this is your one and only, and you don't like either one of us, I'm sorry, the 2 bearded, overweight men can't do it for you. Anyway, we'll see you guys next time right here.